cover.
Only a few clicks away.
Check out Payne Nation today. Here is Charles Payne.
Welcome back to the Nation, Payne Nation. I'm joined in studio, finally, a remarkable American businessman, philanthropist, and just to be quite frank with you, an American story. John Paul DeJoria was living in his car in 1980. He teamed up with Paul Mitchell. They launched Paul Mitchell Hair Products with $700. Fast forward 32 years later, well, Paul Mitchell produced products generate at least $1 billion a year in revenue. But John Paul, of course, has not just rested on his laurels all that time. In 1989, he co-founded Patron Spirits, known for their world-famous tequila. And besides that, he's also giving back, something he loves to do. But he's not giving back in the notion that giving for giving's sake. He is actually giving in the notion of teaching a man how to fish. He supports Grow Appalachia, which we're going to talk about, which helps families fight not only obesity and poverty, but to also gain greater control of their lives. John Paul DeJoria, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thank you, Charles. Nice to be here with you.
I'm telling you, you've always been one of my favorites. I'm one of these guys. I'm Horatio Alger. If I pick up a story and I read a story about someone, and I just don't think that the stories are told enough anymore these days. I really don't. I don't think that our kids dream anymore these days. The gumption that you would have $700. I got to tell you, I spent some time last year at Occupy Wall Street, and I saw these kids on computing devices that cost more than $700, and they were complaining when you went out there and you changed the world. At least you changed your world.
That's a big difference. A lot of people have to realize you have to take action to make something happen and not wait for somebody to give you something for nothing. The government's not going to solve it. You're going to solve it or have somebody give you a helping hand solving it.
Well, on that notion, it feels like we're being torn this year in this country about the idea that there's never been really that the rugged individualism is somehow a myth, and that we've always been something of a collective, and that we need to lean on each other. And while, listen, we all, I think, most of us share the idea of Judeo-Christian beliefs. We help each other. We're the most generous nation ever. I don't know. My opinion has always been that it has been the rugged individual that's made things happen, whether it's a John Paul DeJoria or Steve Jobs, or it could be a person with a bodega with 4 employees. They're making and changing the world for other people.
I think they just have to know, especially here in America, we have this opportunity. People just have to know you can do it. If you look back in 1980 when we started our business, inflation was 12.5%, interest rates 18%, unemployment 10.5%, and you wait in line for gasoline. Much worse in 80 and 81 than it is today. But yet America gives one the opportunity to actually do something instead of waiting for someone to give to you, to actually do something. And I believe the American dream is definitely still alive. More people just have to realize it is alive. You could do it. You've got to take action, and you can do it.
But how do they do that? How do they make that move? In other words, there's already an intimidation factor. I started my business. To be quite frank with you, I was broke. So I said I always wanted to have my own business. So for me, it felt like a no-brainer. I didn't feel like I had a quote unquote a lot to lose per se. But a lot of people out there, just particularly young people, I think there's a global crisis, especially in Europe and America, where just so many young people are frozen. They can't move. They can't budge. They just can't. How come they're so afraid? How do they become unafraid?
If you listen to most news, it's depressing. Here's what's going wrong. All of us have abilities, and some of us don't have, let's say, abilities in all area. Like I depend on assistants and accountants, or I'd be totally lost. But there's certain things I can do. And people are bombarded with what's going on, what people want to be handed to them. It's not enough of you can do it. You mentioned Horatio Alger. My God, that's the most incredible story. But you can start a business today with little to no money. Started a website for entrepreneurs last year called jpselects.com. If you're an entrepreneur and you're sustainable with your product and you give back either through your personal contribution or money to make your city a better place to live or your state or the world, and you don't use slave labor, you qualify to go on jpselects.com, okay? We will warehouse for you, ship for you, bill for you, advertise for you, collect your money for you, and give you 70% of retail. And whatever's left goes to shipping, handling, collecting your money, and a portion of that goes to charity to help the world become a better place to live. So now you no longer have an excuse. Well, I have a great product. I can make it, but where am I going to warehouse it? How do I collect the money? Where's a venue for me to sell it off of? So there's things going on right now. And if your listeners would like to know how to start a business with little to no money, because we don't have the time to do it now,
right,
go to Stanford University and punch in on your computer, Stanford University, and then punch in my name, John Paul DeJoria, or John Paul DeJoria, Stanford University. I did a lecture there last year on how to start a business with little to no money and how to be a loving, caring manager to change the world at the same time.
Well, I'll make sure. I'm going to get both of those on the website, jpselects.com, and, of course, I'll get the link to the lecture that you gave, because this is what we need. I think people would like a key, and, to your point, I feel awful when I hear so many people, particularly young people, say they can't do it. And again, you and I talk about success stories. Heck, Colonel Sanders started when he was 60.
That's right.
So it's never too late per se.
And do I have time to be able to tell you about how Grow Appalachia is working?
Oh, that's the main thing I want to talk about.
There's 150,000 families on unemployment and food stamps throughout Appalachia. That's Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina,
150,000
people on unemployment and food stamps. Right? Families are families. Well, I decided we do great things all over the world. Why don't we address that? In large cities, there are programs that help people. In the Appalachias, little to nothing. So I took on Appalachia. I asked for no funds. I fund this myself. It's called Grow Appalachia. And what I do basically is this. I pay people, plus we have volunteers. But I'm taking on all of Appalachia. The goal was in 5 to 7 years to have 50% of Appalachian feeding themselves and in business. That's 75,000 families, 300,000 people. Here's what we do. I buy them their seeds, their fertilizer. We show them how to do it, a tractor if they collectively farm, so they could grow their own vegetables. We've even found vegetables in Appalachia, peas that will grow that give you all the protein you need. Phase number 1, you grow enough vegetables and you owe me nothing. I pay for it. Okay, I'm helping America. I'm sharing the profits that I got of this goodness that God gave me. I'm sharing it, okay?
Right.
Phase number 1 is you grow enough groceries for yourself, can it for the winter, and take care of destitute people around you. Now we know you're okay. Phase number 2, you're learning through the people that are teaching you how to grow vegetables, okay? Phase number 2 is to now start selling at farmers markets and grocery stores. It's organic vegetables. We started it 2 years ago. We're exactly on track. In less than 5 years, 75,000 families, 300,000 people will be eating through their own gardens, and many of them selling their produce. These folks don't want to be on food stamps. They're proud. They don't want a handout. They want to do something. They're good Americans. Most are second and third generation coal miners that are out of work. You get someone like this big Massey Coal Company that comes with these big machines and rapes the tops of mountains for coal. Just takes the whole mountaintop off. God knows how they're allowed to do that. But each one of those machines displaces almost 175 people. They want to work. They have nothing to do. So what we're doing is helping America help themselves. I'm going to make this very quick. Take a guess at what America spends on food stamps for somebody, and that's a Band-Aid food stamps. Take a wild guess to feed them for a month. The family of 4.
I think the overall number is like $70 billion last year, so I'm not sure what it equates to.
Well, let's say per
person.
family. Would you say at least $400 a month to feed a family of 4? Food.
Or $290 or something.
Whatever
like that.
it is, okay?
Yeah.
It's still money, right? It's a Band-Aid. We pay it
Absolutely.
month after month. Plus the infrastructure to manage it, right? It's a lot. The program I put together, which includes now 1 rooster and 10 chickens, okay? So you have now have eggs. Cost to feed, let somebody eat forever with pride, less than $100 per person to eat forever. Not several $100s per month every month, less than $100 to eat forever and create a business where you could sell your excess produce and your family lives good. And when you eat good vegetables, all of a sudden your life feels better, you lose weight, and you feel good. It's Americans helping Americans, Charles, and you're going to see more and more of that as time goes on. We the people care.
John, with this particular program, are you seeing now an interest in some of these people who are participating saying, I'd like to apply this in a different area? In other words, beyond, farming, produce. Is the template, can you take this same template and say, okay, let's apply it to learning how to operate computers? I started the top of the show talking about the Empire State Report yesterday. It's shocking how many employers said they can't find workers with basic computer skills, basic English skills. It's shocking. We talk about a lack of jobs, but the fact of the matter is a whole lot of Americans aren't prepared. Is there a way to take this template and go beyond just food? Because I think it's amazing.
Yes, there is. We've already started that in downtown Los Angeles, the Blazer House. The Blazer House is in the middle of South Central LA. It's the only neutral zone for the Bloods, the Crips, and the 18th Street gangs. It's a neutral zone. Nobody mess with anybody because we teach kids in grade school, junior high school, and high school how to use computers, how to finish their homework. We have volunteers that are helping them, giving them a helping hand, plus how to garden and how to play basketball to take up all of your time. Quite a few of our kids, like more than 50%, go on to college. It's in the middle of the worst area of Los Angeles. Part of it is computer technology, but you're right, the same template you could apply to almost anything. People need the tools and then someone to give them the education on how to do it and know it can be done. And Appalachia is just a great example.
It certainly is. This is, it's absolutely amazing. What do you think then? Because we talk about food stamps, and obviously it's a good program. But is there, or do you think we are also maybe creating? Because I've seen it firsthand, where people are born on welfare and die on welfare.
That's correct.
Is there place where we have to say the greater good? I'm really helping you through tough love. Is there do we have to somehow as a nation start applying a form of tough love rather than maybe appeasing people to the point where they never had the impetus to change their life?
You're 100% right on. These folks that I speak to in Appalachia all say, we don't want to be on food stamps. Some of us have been on welfare for over a decade. We don't want to be there. We feel embarrassed. We don't want to do it. You've shown us a way. We're going to get off welfare. We're going to have a gardening business, whatever their thing is, to be able to get off it. They don't want to. I would say those that are born in welfare and just live their whole lives off welfare and handouts, if they were given the opportunity to actually do something and be productive and get the same results but be happy, it's going to change your lifetime. The frequency is rising on this planet right now, and more people are becoming aware we can do something for somebody else, not asking anything in return, that'll change the planet. Paul Mitchell schools nationwide, 16,000 students are required for 3 months out of their education to be part-time involved in helping their community, their state, and the nation, other people, whether it's computers or whether it's giving them a leg or helping them with cancer, making the world a better place to live. It's happening everywhere. What's one of the big things on the news now? Oil fracking, be self-sufficient. There's a company called Latitudes that developed a machine that cleans fracking water, 650 gallons per minute per machine for pennies to get rid of all the pollution.
Right.
There's wonderful things happening right now, and these are jobs for people. You get people in the inner city that all of a sudden, now we go in the oil fields because we could clean the water, it's environmental, it's fracking. Holy cow, or other related jobs. Now you have more jobs that need to be filled than people ever thought. And if you're on welfare and you have a job that gives you 2 to 3 times what you had on welfare, hey, I don't want to be on welfare anymore. I like that 2 to 3 times the money. That's what happens. Free enterprising, making things happen for this nation, and technology to give us solutions to challenges we have today.
John, I mean, I guess you can't help but be optimistic, and I feel sort of goosebumps and optimistic when I'm in your presence. But do you feel the atmosphere, the overall atmosphere? It feels like there's a tug of war going on because there's so much negativity, there's so much vitriol, and it's just going to get worse in an election year. For us to break through this, to break through it and say, listen, we can be self-sufficient and block out the noise. Are you confident about that?
Very confident, because the more people speak like you're speaking, like I'm speaking, the more people know America still works for real. I watch these elections. I cannot believe people in the same party bashing one another. Guys, this is stupid, okay? Or government spending money where maybe there's certain ways to help the people out more.
Right.
We definitely need government. Government does some really, really good things. But there's a lot of things we could do. And then when you see they're pitting, was it the poor against the rich? That's the biggest bunch of baloney in the world, okay? It's stupid politicians trying to pit people. Why have I never received one piece of hate mail? Because those that are on the steps know I was homeless. I lived in my car. Yes, I was successful,
right,
but I give back, and right now I do it more and more each year to change this planet. When people know that's happening, all of a sudden everyone unites together. We're one. My family is the world. If I want to benefit, I say I want to benefit my family and the world.
Right.
My family is the world, and everyone else is going to realize that more and more. The frequency is rising, Charles.
John Paul DeJoria, you're one of my idols. You've done it all. You continue to do it all. You give back. You educate. and you help people become self-sufficient. I know God's going to continue to bless you. I'm really happy that you were able to grace us in the studio today. Thanks a lot.
And there's a lot more like me out there, Charles. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. As Payne Nation continues, want to give you a recap on the market, talk a little bit about the question of today. Oh, I've got a hint for you for Hypocrite of the Week. Payne Nation, empowering you to live the American dream.